Attention travelers, due to the government shutdown, the TSA pre-check security line is now 3,000 people long. If any of you are waiting in line know how to operate the aircraft traffic control system, do you mind filling in?
Do you live, eat, and sleep the hotel industry? Looking to brush up on your game? You've come to the right place. Welcome to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the No Vacancy Podcast with me, your host, Glenn Hausman, and this is what space smells like. Thank you so much for being here today. So it's exciting because as this show is coming out, we're finally at the point of the new year where we can stop saying Happy New Year to each other. It's very frustrating for the first week or two. I never know exactly when to end it up, but I'm giving everybody permission now. No more Happy New Year. It's done. We're moving on to Happy Groundhog's Day next, I think, or maybe it's President's Day or Arbor Day. I don't know, but stop with the Happy New Year's. We're done with that. We can move on. So again, thanks for listening to the show. This show is brought to you in part by Duetto, the revenue strategy technology platform thousands of hotels are using to make more money. You can check them out at getrevenueresults.com. That's getrevenueresults.com. And, of course, check out all of our shows here on the No Vacancy News Network. Lots of exciting stuff going on. We are going to be launching the first episode of the Business of Hotels podcast soon, which will be with Gary Eisenberg of LW Hospitality Advisors. So looking forward to that one. That's going to get us really into the nitty-gritty of the how a lot of the operations in the hospitality industry works from, like, the financial side of the business. So it's going to be a pretty cool show to be doing. Can't wait to hear your feedback on that particular one. And if you're not already a member of the No Vacancy Network, make sure to just text the word hotel to 66866. That's the word hotel to 66866 to subscribe. And that would be really awesome if you could go ahead and do that. So a lot of exciting things going on right now. As I am recording this interview, I've got one more week at home, and then I'm going to be gone for 3 weeks straight. That's going to be a rough kind of a trip for me. So first week, I'm going to be at the Service Department Summit Recharge in Berlin. I love this particular event. It's a great opportunity to go tour all sorts of interesting and new, really innovative hospitality concepts that are out there. I had such a great time at the one in Amsterdam last year, and it's really helped me understand my future hospitality vocabulary and where I think we're moving in terms of the industry kind of converging and changing and starting to see all new permutations with lots of great new products out there. And then, of course, after that, I'm going to be at Alice shooting tons of videos for the No Vacancy News Network with lots of high-level professionals, including some CEOs of some of the major hotel companies. I can't wait to be doing that. And I'll be getting some podcasts with some of these CEOs as well to keep the show running here for you guys each and every week here on the No Vacancy News Network. Then it's off to Puerto Rico for the Corporate Housing Providers Association. I think right after that, I'll be heading off to the NEWH's every other year's big national event down in Miami. I'm still trying to make some final plans for that, but I think I'm really excited. At the end of February, I'm going to be heading out to LA to be part of Forbes Travel Guide's annual event with my checking in with Anthony and Glenn partner, Anthony Melchiori. That's going to be a lot of fun. If you haven't listened to that series yet, I'd love for you to check it out on a separate feed than the No Vacancy shows. But check that out, checking in with Anthony and Glenn, which I do with Travel Channel's Anthony Melchiori. We talk about all these great hotel issues, and I'm having so much fun going back and forth with him. We're really starting to develop a great rapport, and I'm having so much fun with him. All right, so today, going to do something a little bit different. This was a long week for me. I had trouble getting my act together, and I always have a couple of interviews in the can just in case something like this happens. And I recently did an interview with the folks at a company called Invitely. And in this interview, I have their CEO, Alex Bregman, on it. And the whole idea of this is when you're traveling alone, sometimes you still want to network and not just be alone. I mean, who doesn't love being alone? All right, most of us don't. Me, I crave it. As much as I love being with people, I love being alone. But sometimes I really want to get some networking done when I'm on the road, maybe have a drink, maybe have a meal with somebody. So Alex and his partner, Kareem, they set up a company called Invitely. And the whole idea is here you can connect with people on the road to, have coffee, lunch, dinner with up to 5 professionals in your area. Talk to them about finance, business development, marketing, whatever it is, whatever your interests are. I thought it was an interesting enough idea to have this conversation with them. So I'm going to pass it along to Alex and my interview with Alex Bregman right now. But before we go, I just want to say, please drop me a line, glenn@rouse.media, for any topics that you want to hear. And please give us 5 stars on iTunes. It would be really super duper helpful if you guys could do that. You know, I know you're walking the dog, you're on the treadmill, I get it, but try really hard to remember, just give me those 5 stars if you can. Seriously, I could really use your help. And if you really want to do more help, go check out my Patreon page and kick me a couple of bucks. I know it's my first time I'm asking for some money shamelessly here in the last couple of years, but listen, got to pay those bills. My teenagers, they're 14 and a half now, nearly 15 years old. They are my size, and they eat my weight in food every day. And this boy's got to pay for it somehow. Just last night, they ate 3 pounds of chicken tikka masala that I made on their own, leaving me out in the dust. The night before that, I brought home a pizza for my boys. An entire pizza. 2 boys ate an entire pizza. I had nothing, I tell you. I had to go back out and get more pizza, where the guys at the pizza place just pointed and laughed at me for a little while. So these are the challenges that I'm dealing with giant growing children. So if you have a few bucks to spare, kick it to me at Patreon. If not, just give me those 5 stars ratings. Really, that's all I care about. I want to thank you guys so much, and we're going to be right back after this interview. And just remember, your trip is short. So when I'm traveling a lot, I kind of go to all of these events. And yeah, I have a social group that's on the road because we're all on the go together. But more increasingly, as I'm finding, I'm doing a lot of speaking engagements around the country. As I'm going to new cities for new reasons, to do new things, I find myself often kind of alone, and that can get kind of lonely. So how can I, as an executive, meet other like-minded people with me and turn what would be a night in a hotel room all alone into a networking event? Well, we have Alex Bregman. He is the co-founder of Invitely, a new app that helps connect travelers while they're on the road, and not in a naughty way, in an up way to help us all feel empowered. Alex, great to talk to you today.
Yes, thanks a lot for the intro, Glenn. Great to be on the show, and I completely agree on your introduction. I had exactly the same situation, traveling on the road.
Yeah.
A lot of opportunity to meet up with people, and you just waste that opportunity. You just hang out in a hotel and not doing basically anything at all.
Right. I used to try meeting people on the planes, like that person that was sitting next to me. But then I started to realize that's not so good, because a lot of times when you say hello to somebody, then they talk for the next 4 to 12 hours, depending on how long your flight is, and that doesn't really work out for me. So now I have no choice but to put on my headphones and pretend I'm listening to something. But I do want to eat, and I'm getting tired of eating alone. And one interesting thing is you guys are saying 41% of professionals want to network more frequently, but they say they don't have enough time. This is a great way to kind of bring this in, considering there are so many business travel trips being taken and so many people that are in the same situations as each and every one of us. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about your story, the germination of the website that you were just mentioning, and then why you feel it's so needed within the marketplace.
Yeah, look, I was exactly in the same spot as you are. I was working for Google for a very long time, over 10 years.
Wow.
I was traveling very frequently. Every other week I was on the road, mostly here in EMEA, right? So Europe, Middle East, and
I should say, Alex is coming at us from Paris today, so I'm a little bit jealous speaking to you from Long Island.
Yeah, well, thanks, no worries. So when I was on the road a lot, I started realizing that there's this massive opportunity to use that downtime to network, to meet people, because you are actually at that same place where a lot of other business professionals are, right? You're in the same hotels, you're in the same business areas.
Right.
And still it's so difficult to meet with each other. So, and the other thing actually the other thing I started realizing when I was doing all of this, starting kind of think about this idea back in 2014, 15, 16, I started seeing this massive surge of those geo-targeted dating apps, right? Tinder and other apps out there that made it so easy to get a date, no matter where you are. But I was wondering, what about me? What about a professional encounter? Professional networking is so much more difficult. So that's how the thinking for Invite came up.
Right. Interesting. And what I think is fascinating is that I could be like here in my home community and still meet up with those people. So I can actually, get that networking and overload. I don't actually have to be on the road to do it. I could have people meet me in a restaurant in my hometown.
Absolutely. And our initial use case was this business travel use case. Mm-hmm. But now that we are live and we have already thousands of users on Invitely, we actually see a lot of people using Invitely to grow their professional network no matter where they are, whether they're traveling or they're at home. There's a lot of different reasons why people want to connect, right? Some people are looking for changing industries. Some other people are looking for a new job or trying to hire or trying to kind of discover a new industry. Or, look for a mentor, looking for an investor, a lot of different reasons why people are looking to connect. And when you look at professional networking, if you really think about it, it's still a very traditional business, right? People go to conferences, networking events, people pay a lot of money to be part of a networking group. And all of that is still very traditional, very inaccessible to a lot of people. With Invitely, it really becomes super easy to be part of a very interesting network and to be able to actually meet with someone very, very easily.
Yeah, and I think that's really the key, is to be able to expand your network in an easy, simple way. And, of course, you can get the Invitely app on Google Play or at the Apple App Store. So tell me a little bit about how it works. Say I'm going to be in San Francisco next week, and I would like to, meet some people on a particular night that I have off. Take me through what the process would be like and why it's so simple.
Absolutely. That's the perfect use case. So the way it works, you log into Invitely, most likely with a LinkedIn account, so you don't have to recreate your account, your profile. You just log in with LinkedIn with just one click. And then the next thing you can then create an invite. And an invite is, for example, like you said, I have an evening off. So in that case, you just go ahead and you create a dinner or drinks invite in San Francisco or in a particular restaurant or in a particular neighborhood, if that works better for you. You put in also a topic, right, a theme. So maybe you want to talk about something in particular, or you're looking for people in a particular industry. So you put that in there as well. You put in the time frame, and then you submit that invite. And then that invite becomes live, and other people can then discover it and request to join you for that invite. And we will then obviously recommend that invite to the most interesting people that may want to join you. And they can then discover the invite and click on I want to join. If they like that invite, they like the topic, they can check out your profile. They can then click the join button, and you as the host, you receive a notification saying that, hey, someone wants to join you on that invite. And you basically end up, not one-on-one, that's important point to keep in mind, that you're going to end up in a small group professional networking occasion. Usually there's 3-4 people meeting up, and that's the way it works.
Right. Interesting. So I wish I knew about this when I was in your city of Paris in July, because sometimes when I'm in a foreign city, especially if I'm not proficient in their language, and man, Alex, I'm jealous of you because I know you're fluent in English, Russian, Dutch, and French. How awesome is that? I would love to have...
Yeah, I can tell you more about how that came along, but that's the truth.
I would love to have been able to have connected with somebody who already was familiar with the community and would have found me a great restaurant, great company to enjoy the meal with, and it would have saved me from having to randomly find a place to eat. Yeah, I know Yelp is out there and all that stuff, but I'm not. I like personal recommendations more. But more importantly, I find when I'm in a foreign city and I'm alone, I wind up putting on my headphones and listening to podcasts or music and just walking around for hours and hours and hours, seemingly aimlessly.
Yeah, that's pretty sad, isn't it?
It's very sad. Yeah. But then again, Alex, my life is just very sad in general. So this is normal for me.
But this is the life of a business traveler. You're not the one out there. There's a lot of us who are doing exactly that, and it's not ideal. Let me give you actually a good story and a good example.
Yeah.
We were very recently in Copenhagen on a business trip in Denmark. And that was the first time I was in Denmark, so I had no idea where to go. I didn't know many people there. So obviously we went ahead and we created an Invitely invite for dinner in Copenhagen on a particular night. And so we ended up in a dinner with 3 locals, and one girl was traveling from San Francisco. She was also on business travel in Denmark, in Copenhagen. And she read about Invitely in a magazine, so she downloaded it. And she was so happy that she was able to join us for that dinner. There were, at the end of the day, there were 6 of us going for that dinner in Copenhagen. And she was so happy to be able to make something cool out of her night and meet interesting people. Went to a nice local restaurant. We had a couple of locals joining that invite. And she said, this is great, because otherwise I would have just, end up in my hotel room. And now I had a great evening, met local people, went to great restaurants. So this is just one of many great stories that we hear from our platform.
Yeah, I love that. So, Alex, I have to ask you the question that you're probably asked every single time you talk with somebody about your product. How do you make sure that people engaging in this and meeting strangers are kept safe, so they'll have the confidence to use Invitely to meet with people?
Right. So this is probably not the most asked question, but generally, look, we built Invitely as 100% professional service. Mm-hmm. Right. That's everything we've done. It's geared towards that this stays as the most professional network you can get access to. And we're doing that in many different ways, right? For example, you're logging in through LinkedIn, right? That's just one of the things. Second, there is a topic, there's a professional theme that you add to your invite. But I think the most important aspect that makes this very professional is actually that it's in a small group. This is not one-on-one. One-on-one, that's very weird. That could become anything.
Right.
But meeting in a small group of people, 4, 5, 6 people, the maximum is 6, that becomes much more obvious. This is a much more natural way of meeting somewhere in a professional way. And that's in a small group.
Right. I think that's a terrific way to do it. Plus, honestly, I really like having multiple people to talk to, because sometimes it's hard to have a conversation with a single individual for an entire meal, right? Especially, we're all these different personalities. Sometimes some people are more talkative, sometimes they're not. Some people are more introspective, blah, 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 right? So, I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Sometimes, if the risk that the evening is just much more interesting is if there's more people, because maybe you're there with 3 others. One of them is a little bit, less interesting, but at least the other 2 are very interesting people to talk to. So at the end of the day, the risk and the chances there's going to be a very nice night is much better. So yeah, that makes complete sense. And that's why this connection through an invite, that's actually very much the innovative part here. That is something that when I came up with that was really the light bulb moment for me. That's when I realized this is what I would personally use, and then I understood that this is something worth pursuing.
That's great. How often do you get to use your own creation?
Yes, this is the fun part of it. Our app actually enables me to meet with my users. That's the whole point of meeting with people, right? Mm-hmm. So I probably use it on average once a week. Sometimes more often, and it's great because you get to use the product, you get to talk to users, you get to get their feedback, and it's amazing. I mean, look, we didn't start that long ago, right? So we're still in the learning phase, and we started realizing that some people are super, super positive and keen about this, and we thought, how often would you actually use something like that, right?
Right.
Maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months. But we have people that are using this almost every single week.
Wow.
And they're looking to meet and grow their network and join invites all over the world, literally all over the world. So that's why I'm trying to use it as much as I can.
That's really terrific, really interesting, and especially folds into the whole idea of that leisure travel that's out there. A lot of people are gone for a long period of time. They want to incorporate a lot more leisure activities. They're alone. They don't know what to do. This is a great way to make those important connections that can help you be more successful in your career over the long time, or at a bare minimum, keep you entertained throughout the night. Alex, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you think is critical that we should talk about that we didn't get to?
What maybe one other thing we didn't mention, or two last thing. I didn't mention actually our ambassador program. That's one of the main ways that we grow the invited community is that we have ambassadors all over the world, over 100 ambassadors already, and they're really there. They're really passionate about networking,
Right.
passionate about inviting, and they want to work with us. Not even work with us; they will help us completely for free, right? They're just an ambassador all over the world, and we're definitely looking for more ambassadors to join our platform and be the local voice for Invitely, and talk to the local community about Invitely. The other thing I didn't necessarily mention much yet is our actually Invitely for Business. And Invitely for Business is is the way we work with various organizations. Because you got to realize, for example, I'm part of a business school alumni network. We've got 50,000 alumni in our network.
Right.
But if I go tomorrow to New York, it's very, very complicated for me to meet my fellow alumni, right?
Right.
There's Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, there are groups, whatever intranet systems exist. But if I want to go there and I want to meet with people from my alumni network that I don't, haven't personally met yet before, it's really complicated. So we are actually working with a lot of these kind of organizations, and we're creating private environments for them inside Invitely. And that allows them to basically create a safe space inside Invitely and connect their members in a much better way. So this is something where we started doing quite recently, but we see massive pickup because people really see this Invitely as a way to make networking work within their organization.
Awesome. And I see this as a great way of kind of linking all of the changes that we're seeing right now with hotels and co-located workspaces and, even hanging out with somebody that you didn't know in a business lounge in the airport before you put your headphones on and ignore the person next to you. So, Alex, how can we find you once again? I always like to end every interview with a good, shameless plug for the folks that put up with me.
So next time you are on business travel and you're thinking of how to, what to do during those meals, how to get the most out of your travel, whether you want to just meet some interesting people locally or meet with some fellow business travelers that are also going to be there, get Invitely, download the app on your Android or iOS device, and you're going to be part of the Invitely network. So that means you can always create an invite, and other Invitely members will be able to discover it and request to join you for that lunch or coffee or dinner, whatever you create it for. And you will also notify you if there's going to be an interesting invite happening in your proximity, no matter where you are, if you're traveling or when you're at home. And that's pretty much it. Thanks a lot, and please try out our app.
Great. I'm going to definitely give this a try, Alex. I've been wanting to give it a try for the last couple of weeks, but poor me, I've been on the road with people, so I haven't been alone. I haven't had a chance to do it, but I am going to be doing it. I've got some trips coming up in the next month that I'm going to be all alone, and hopefully I'll go out there and I'll find some people that are looking forward to networking with me as much as I am with them. So, Alex, thanks so much for being here, and as I said, I'll report back on how this worked, and we'll be back with another great interview after this.
Have a question for your host, Glenn? Tweet him now at Traveling Glenn. No vacancy. The hospitality industry's #1 podcast. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, Glenn here. So Red Roof, the folks who created the upscale economy segment, have launched a soft brand that's likely to define that category as well. Look, after comprehensive research into what travelers truly desire, Red Roof has created the Red Collection, a group of upper mid-scale unique hotels that are hyper-local and inspired by each area's vibe and culture, and near the activities and sites travelers want to visit most. Their 2 premier properties, they're now open. The St. Clair in Chicago is just 1 block from the shops, restaurants, and museums along Magnificent Mile everyone wants to be at, while the Springfield, Illinois State House Inn, guests can experience all of the local restaurants and stores as well as the legacy of Abraham Lincoln. Each hotel offers modern, accessible, affordable accommodations and the amenities guests ask for in consumer research, including a loyalty program that's the richest in class and the least expensive for franchisees. Wow, that sounds like a win-win to me. Every property in the Red Collection has its own distinct name, customized property enhancement plan, and brand standards based on consumer wants rather than design mandates. That means these guys get it. They don't want you spending money you don't have to spend. To top it all off, the Red Collection gives franchisees the opportunity to affordably invest in a sound brand with a solid track record and Red Roof's stellar management team. And Red Roof franchisees will tell you genuine relationships, real results. It isn't just some slogan, it's just how Red Roof operates. Learn more about the Red Collection today by contacting Matt Hostetler, Red Roof's Senior VP of Development and Franchising. Email him at mhostetler@redroof.com, which is Hostetler. That's mhostetler@redroof.com, or give him a call at 713-576-7426. Thanks for listening, and tell him Glenn sent you.
Back to the show. It's No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the No Vacancy podcast with me, your host, Glenn Hausman. I sound like I'm a little hyper today. That's probably because I've had 75 cups of coffee, but it was a tough night. I'm here at the MGM Springfield, and I really enjoyed myself last night, and I'm here to speak to the president and COO of this incredible complex, Mr. Mike Mathis. Mike, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Glenn, for being here, and I'm glad you got to check the place out last night.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, because a lot of times I get into these interviews, and it's kind of blind, but I took the extra time because as we're recording this, it's just prior to Christmas. Things started to slow down a little bit for me. I had a chance to come up here, have a proper tour, really get a sense of the of the place. So first question I have for you, Mike, is how does someone who's got a law degree get into the casino business?
Yeah, that my mom and dad asked that question all the time. They didn't know I'd be a casino boss,
right?
When they encouraged me to to pursue a law career. But it's I tell my management team all the time. Sometimes despite your best plans, life happens to you, and my path is a great example of that. So I'm an Army brat, so I've moved around really all over the world, all over the country. So I got a little gypsy in me by my DNA, and landed on the East Coast on the Jersey Shore, went to college at Dartmouth, and did road trips right by this site, not realizing 20, 30 years later, my career would bring me here. So stayed on the East Coast, practiced law for a couple of years in New Jersey.
What was your specialty?
It was commercial litigation,
right?
A little bit of real estate, and decided that I wanted to do something more on the business side, and had a roommate in law school that at that time we called the Vegas girl, because it was such a foreign concept to be from Las Vegas back in the mid '90s. Kept in touch with her.
I feel like the only person ever from Vegas is Jimmy Kimmel. Everyone else,
that's right,
there, right?
That's right, Jimmy Kimmel. He's one of our better natives to come out of there. So he so kept in touch with her, and this was probably late '90s. And she said, listen, the work is great out here, Fortune 500 companies, really interesting work across all the different aspects of law. I went out and interviewed, and sort of the rest is history.
Yeah, that's interesting. So how did you make the transition from doing the law side of stuff to actually working on the hospitality and gaming side of the business?
It really, such a people business.
Right.
And I think early on, I've always enjoyed the business and being on the floor and meeting with the different operators. So when I supported them on the legal side, they would say, hey, do you want to come to this event? Do you want to tag along? Do you want to see what it's about? And I would always take them up on it. And I think slowly I sort of developed a reputation as somebody that could cross over from the legal corporate side and start looking at operations and development. And that's sort of what I've done slowly throughout my career.
Yeah, this business is so addictive and interesting, especially in the casino resort environment. The energy level is just absolutely phenomenal. And anytime I walk into one of these mega integrated resorts, I'm always blown away by the excitement. Now, I'm not somebody that loves to sit at the tables and play games, but I love being in these buildings because there's just so much energy. They're just so much fun, and they're just so interesting of a business, which is why I really enjoyed the tour yesterday, because I really got to get a sense of how you put together the operations here and how complex that operation is.
Absolutely. I tell people that all the time that the only downside of our business is it's hard to go back to any other business. I won't ever be able to count widgets or bill hourly rates working on a file. I love being with our customers, our employees. We're an adult playground, and it's a chance to see people really at their best, enjoying themselves, celebrating, and it is, in that sense, it's very addictive.
Yeah, it's sure. So you came on board here at MGM Springfield. You were like the number one person. You were here before even legislation was set for being here, right?
Yeah, pretty close to right when the bill passed is when I landed on the ground, and really privileged to be the first employee. I was here before it was even Springfield. We first looked at Brimfield as a
I remember that
resort in the woods. And then the Springfield opportunity came up, and really being on the ground, knocking on doors, and we spent the first 3 months on a listening tour, which I recommend all developers do, is before you sort of dictate what you have envisioned for the host city, is listen to the people that have roots here, and listen to what they want, and what's really worked in the past, and that was a great experience for me.
Right. So what did you learn out of that then you were able to turn into the look, the aesthetic, the feel, the understanding of what this property needed to be for this community?
What I learned is that a ton of pride from people in Springfield and their rich industrial history, and it represented more than just Springfield. I think in all these great manufacturing cities in New England, it's the same sense of pride. Their grandfathers all tell them the same story, which is walking down the street and going into a Woolworths or some department store and coming down at Christmas to shop and going to dine on a big weekend. So part of our mantra became, downtowns were to Springfield what Las Vegas is now. It was a chance to go out and enjoy yourself, and we wanted to bring some of that back into what we were developing here.
I really see the passion that the designers put into this place. And I really want to talk about how all of that came together, because of all of the regional resorts I've been around in this country, this one feels most sense of place of any that I've ever seen. It's a very mature design. It's a very engaging design. And I love National Harbor, and for those of you listening, that's another MGM regional property that opened up recently in the last couple of years, just outside Washington, D.C. in Maryland. There's a big Gaylord over there, and I love that. It's a beautiful property, but it just feels like a casino resort. This one feels like a casino resort, but really of the neighborhood, really of Springfield. You bring in that industrial chic kind of look into the property in a very interesting and sophisticated way.
No question. I think one of the ways we describe the two properties, because we open them up, back to back, and they both represent some of the best work we've done as a company in a regional market.
Yeah, two totally different visions, but both incredibly executed.
Absolutely right. And I think when you think about National Harbor, we call it glitz and glamour, and it's some of the best we've ever done. And we talk about Springfield, it's a lot of heart and soul. And they both are luxurious and represent the MGM brand, but in a really customized way. So in Springfield, it's a lot of details around the design, nods to the industrial manufacturing history of it. It's dark and rich in terms of woods. It's not contemporary, but it does have a little bit of a contemporary feel. And I think we've really outdone ourselves, and that's the feedback I get from not just customers outside the market, but people from Springfield who really feel proud of what we've done here.
Right, and you're going to get that same kind of feedback from me right now, because it's just such a terrifically executed project, and I highly recommend everybody just coming up here to see it for yourself, because it's so different. A lot of times when I visit regional casinos, it seems like the design is just very basic design. It's all just meant to extract money out of people at the slot machines, for example. And I look around, and a lot of those resorts feel a little bit sad to me, right? I don't feel that here. I feel that it's really upscale, it's elegant, but casual and comfortable. And I give real props to you and the team for creating something that seems really of the neighborhood and doesn't feel like a gratuitous play for just grabbing cash.
That's right. We didn't want it to feel transactional at all. This is comfortable. It was a key element, and I think it was a sense that there are so many different experiences within the resort. You can go to our hotel lobby and to take a book off the shelves and sort of read up on the history of Springfield, and just discovering the history of Springfield and what a city like this meant for the country as we expanded it. This is the Silicon Valley of its day, and was a mecca for middle class opportunities, which is why Springfield's the first Springfield, and it proliferated around the country because people want to replicate this model.
Oh,
and we're incredibly proud of that aspect of it, and we celebrate it.
That's really interesting. I keep expecting to see the Simpsons around the corner.
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah, Springfield, Illinois took its name from Springfield, Massachusetts, and is spread across the country because this was a city of homes, a place for middle class to buy a home, have a career, innovate. And we celebrate that every day.
So one of the things that I talk a lot about here on the No Vacancy podcast is the trends that we're seeing and the whole sense of being a part of the community. And what I love that the design team did and that you did, and I'm sure a lot of this came out of the listening tour, was really understanding all of those companies and the people that made Springfield, and then how you add winks and nods and honor them throughout it. The first one I think of is the lobby bar and Dr. Seuss, right? Yeah. Which was, and I think it's his childhood home was there, and don't worry, they didn't knock it down. It got knocked down years ago, but you knew that this piece of land was for that, and you created some fun things in the lobby bar to kind of like highlight his life.
That's right. We've got, we call them Seussian moments.
Right.
So we have light fixtures that, almost look like French horns.
Yep.
That replicate some of the whimsical, elements out of
totally
his books.
Horton Hears a Who feeling.
Yes, yeah, exactly right. We've got, a lot of wordplay. So our the backdrop to our reception desk has almost a word scramble of Springfield and MGM in it. And they're all subtle, but they really create a sense of playfulness. We've got old Mattel, Hasbro game boards, antique game boards that serve as desks and chairs for people in the lounge to grab a drink on. So,
right, like Milton Bradley grew up here or something like that. Right?
Yeah, the Milton Bradley factory was right down the street.
Right.
It's now a renovated loft apartment complex. But all the innovation that came with Merriam-Webster dictionary was created here. So everything, and all of it's really anchored by Ted Geisel, Dr. Seuss, whose childhood home was here. He looked out his window at our Armory building, and that castle-like building is the inspiration for the spires you see in his childhood books. So we wanted to bring it all together, and it's worked, and it's a place for people to remember their childhood and sort of the best of their childhood.
And another big company that was formed here was the Indian Motorcycle Company, and you have a retail venue here. You can actually buy a motorcycle there if you want to, but it's mostly shirts and other stuff. Keychains, I was told, was a big thing.
Yep.
for there. But you take that Indian motorcycle feel and aesthetic and kind of have it symbolized throughout the property. The Commonwealth bar.
That's right. Yep.
It's got some designs. It's got some designs in it, like different motorcycle seats and that sort of stuff. A lot of just subtle winks and nods throughout the property, but you're not hitting people over the head with it, which I love.
Yeah, I think the balance is always not to be too gimmicky and to really to do it in a tasteful, subtle way. And exactly right. We basically took the Indian motorcycle, deconstructed it, and tried to figure out ways to integrate the different parts throughout the property. So you see gears in the middle of light fixtures, and you see the baseball stitching, leather seats in a lot of our venues. And you won't even necessarily realize it's Indian motorcycle until you go visit the store, perhaps, or someone tells you some of the history. But you just feel it. You just feel it throughout the property. And I think it adds to the whole experience.
Yeah, it really does. And the hotel itself, 252 rooms?
Correct.
Is it, with 16 suites?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what you've done here is you've created a real boutique hotel, I think. It's got the design of a boutique hotel. It's got the feel of a boutique hotel, yet you got 125,000 square feet of gaming space, which is pretty awesome. So how did you come across creating that design for the room? Because I felt it was very successfully done and really does feel very independent hotel-y.
Yeah, the irony of the hotel design is that a lot of times our company will pay really high-priced, famous interior designers to pitch us on a concept for our rooms. In this particular case, because our in-house designers spent so much time in the market, we thought they were the ones the best to bring the product forward. So this was completely done in-house with our in-room designers, and it's the best product in our company.
I remember when I was setting this whole thing up, I was speaking to your head of PR over here, and I'm like, so who did the design? And he was like, oh, we did it all internally. I'm like, whoa.
That's right.
That's pretty amazing that you could do such a big project.
I'm gonna give my two ladies props, Brianna Mathis and Nicole Fournier. led a tremendous design effort, and we're so proud of these rooms. Overstuffed, sort of whimsical furniture, great colors. We got books and different nods to the community up on the walls. The fixtures are neat. Subway tile, mullion shower doors. It's just you almost feel like you walk backwards in time a little bit, but there is a little bit of a contemporary nod to it as well.
There is, and again, man, I really hate sounding like such a kiss ass because it's such a great project. And I walk into that bathroom, and you do some clever things to save space, like having the barn door thing.
That's right.
That closes the bathroom or closes the closet space, and then you walk into that bathroom and the tile work. It's, to me, I mean, I'm not a designer, but it's very reminiscent of 1920s kind of aesthetic, right?
Yep.
But it feels new, but feels old at the same time. So it's clean, it's sparkling, but it really makes you feel like you're, like you said, stepping back in time, which is so interesting and impressive.
Yeah, a lot of the fixtures have a oil can rub to them, so they look like they've been worn a little bit. We went out of our way to make sure that we did some things with materials that had a little bit of aging to them. So it's the feedback we've gotten on the room and the product, and I always want to talk about the people too. We've got close to 40% of our 3,000 employees are Springfield residents.
Yeah, I'm glad you're moving on to that topic now, which is pretty impressive. You got nearly 3,000 people here, and to have 40% of them just from the neighborhood, that's a huge deal.
Huge deal. And this was, there's a lot of naysayers about whether we could successfully do that. And it was
Why? Were they saying that you didn't have a big enough talent pool here, or what?
Exactly right. Not a big enough talent pool. The community's been beat up over the years through economic depression and other things. So, the quality of the employees, no experience in the hospitality industry, and could they really deliver a MGM first-class, hospitality experience? So,
what are the opportunities and challenges when you're dealing with people that have no hospitality experience whatsoever?
Challenges are to really get them used to the hustle and bustle of a 24-hour operation, and it's hard work. And I think the day goes by incredibly quickly, but you got to be engaging, and you've always got to be on, because it could be your worst day, but it's always going to be the customer's most important day, because they're choosing to celebrate with us. So I think training them, and really on the recruitment side, making sure you find the right people that will enjoy that type of work, is probably the only challenge. The opportunities are huge. You don't inherit any bad habits from other resorts. And I think in this case, because we've got local employees, they're welcoming their friends, neighbors into the resort, and there's a different relationship when you know your customer and you want to show it off, and the customer wants to support the employee. So the amount of community engagement, we've got some of the most engaging employees in our entire resort, and that's feedback I've gotten from my colleagues who run Bellagio, MGM Grand, Mandalay Bay, some of the top resorts in the industry in terms of customer service, and they said, Mike, there's something special about this customer, this employee base that you found.
So what's their training process like when you take somebody that's raw and ready, and then you get them to be polished and out there on the floor taking care of people?
It's really, depending on the position, we'll spend as much as 2 weeks with an employee before we put them in the job. A lot of shadowing, and really, so much of it is just attitude. You can get through any customer service challenge if you bring the right attitude, and that's what our employees do. They smile their way through it. They're humble about it. We have a philosophy that we walk the customer to their destination. We don't just point to where the Regal movie theater is. We'll physically walk them there, and in those 3 minutes, you'll figure out where they're from, what they like doing, and you're starting a relationship. We have a high-frequency customer base, so we're looking to form friends and family with our customers.
By the way, little tip: coolest bar ever at a movie theater.
Absolutely, I'll tell you, any movie is improved with a cocktail or two. So it's a great experience, full sort of reclined seats and very immersive, and we another aspect of the property that we're proud of.
So tell me a little bit about what the customer is looking for when it comes to a regional resort compared to your experience working in Las Vegas resorts. I assume there's some overlap, but a different kind of mindset coming into having experience here.
Yeah, I think in Las Vegas, we'll see an average customer, say, twice a year, potentially. In a regional market, we could see them 30, 40 times a year. So this is a customer that's looking for a connection with our employees and a connection with the venues, a little bit of, call it the cheers where everybody knows your name mentality. Yeah. So we encourage our employees to really learn about our customers and not be afraid to learn about their families, learn about their birthdays, talk about their grandkids. And I think that's a big part of the success, because a lot of times after, as beautiful as the resort is, the shiny new toy factor will start to wane, and really what supports it is the programming and the people.
Right. I think you're right on, and I've said this time and time again on the show that so many people are great executives in this incredible business and do such a terrific job that, you've got to get 98% of it right in order to just be even with everybody else. And I think that last 1 or 2% is where that magic happens, where you make those real connections with people. And at the end of the day, we're not going to remember what the cool design is as much as the interactions you have with the staff that are on site and the memories that they help create.
No question. We get customer surveys back all the time.
Right.
And the comments, 10% of the comments are great hotel room, comfortable bed, lousy meal, great meal. It's about things like that. The other 90% are about human interactions with our employees and other customers, and they go positive or negative. So we tell our employees that you are our most important asset, and your ability to provide a great customer service is what's going to create customer loyalty, and that's and those customers will take care of us over time.
How do you create a culture that allows that to happen organically between customers and employees? Because my outside opinion of a company like MGM is super corporate, super rigid, but you have to give these people the feeling of comfort and security in their job that they can do that sort of stuff. So how do you figure that part of it out?
Yeah, I understand that being the perception because of all of our big venues and
right.
We're Fortune
well, mostly because
company.
every time I go to a casino resort and talk to all you executives, mostly everyone's in suits and ties and seems really stiff, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I get that from.
Fair enough. So I think it starts at the top. It doesn't even start with me. It starts with our chairman, Jim Murrin, who grew up in Fairfield, just south of us, and this is really his backyard. And he's a people person. And I think when you run the business as putting the people first, then everything else follows. So and I carry that same philosophy. So I tell all the employees at the new hire orientation, I'm not Mr. Mathis, I'm Mike. When you see me on the floor, tell me how your day's going, tell me what I can do for you. And it's that sort of we break down all that hierarchy and make sure if there's a $50 customer or a $50,000 customer, they all made the choice to spend money with us and spend time with us, and they need to be treated like MVPs, and that's what carries the brand and the property.
So how important is the off casino floor parts of the business to this resort? Industry wide, I think we're seeing 60% taking place. 60% of revenues now off the casino floor. It's really changed the dynamics, and I'm sure that you built this place with that in mind.
Yeah, I think a slot machine is a slot machine,
right?
Candidly, and the difference is, what are you looking at while you're playing? Who are you interacting with on the floor while you're playing? And what are the experiences when you're off the floor? And I think we created this really great diverse experience where you go to the movie theaters with your family, you can go to the skating rink with your family, you can have an adult night in our center bar, you can go have a fine dining experience with a Michael Mina restaurant, Calamari, or a steakhouse to celebrate. But you can also bring your family to a tap, sports bar and go to the bowling and arcade afterwards. So, really, it's not just an experience for everybody, but it's an experience for everybody by day of week. Because, Glenn, you may be celebrating one night with buddies on a Friday night, but you may want to bring your family the next day on a Saturday. And we got to be able to talk to you and what you're trying to get out of the experience on a daily basis almost.
Right. I want to talk to you about that food court concept that you have real quick. To me, it's very
food market.
The market.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Food court makes it seem like, low
like
rent.
The mall. Yeah.
Right. But it's really not. I was about to say when you jumped in with that, it's more of like a food hall kind of feeling, even though there's not 50 different venues there, but it's very nice. It's very upscale. And I think that type of dining program really fits in very nicely to where consumer tastes and preferences are going currently.
It is. We're a little bit of the I call it the bleeding edge on that
Right.
movement, because I'll get stopped by some of our older customers saying, what kind of idiot doesn't build a buffet in a casino, and I'll tell them politely, the way the industry is moving towards smaller portions but more quality over quantity, and really a fresh food. We don't want food sitting for very long. Is really towards this more of this food market concept.
Right.
And inevitably they'll come back and tell me, you're right. It was a great meal. I enjoyed it, and it's all I really wanted. You don't need to have 3 trips to the buffet line.
Totally. I never understood the whole buffet thing. Now, one of the major casino resort companies started to like reinvent it a number of years ago, and they started having like single serve portions and stuff like that.
Right.
Great idea, but it was still $50 to eat there, and if I wanted a cocktail, it's a lot more. I might as well either choose to just have something a little less casual that's going to cost me a third of that.
Yeah.
Or at that point, I might as well just go to a higher-end restaurant off the casino floor and just have a much more well-rounded experience and eat specifically what I want to eat, not gorge myself on food I don't need.
Exactly right. I mean, anytime I've been to a buffet, you're either paying what is equivalent to a fine dining experience, because truthfully, you can't have unlimited lobster tail and either not pay for it on the pricing or pay for it on the quality side. So we agree with you that quality over quantity, and that if you want that fine dining experience, then you should go into a setting and enjoy it. But gorging yourself on premium food is not what we think is the right concept.
No, it certainly doesn't. So, you've been open since August, right? End of August. Really great. You also have the a venue across the street, the convention center, and
Mass
stuff
Mutual
like
Center
that you manage, and
That's
you've got musical acts that come in there. What are you thinking about in terms of that facility and how it parlays into bringing more business here and vice versa?
Yeah, these early days of operations is trying to, you think you've figured out what the customer wants, and they'll tell you what they'll tell you what they want. And so on the entertainment side, we're trying to figure out the right programming over there that, frankly, not only that the customers enjoy, but that also want them to spend time afterwards in the resort. So, we're fine-tuning that. We had a great Stevie Wonder kickoff for our opening, which was fantastic. First time Stevie Wonder's been in this market.
That's amazing.
It was sold out. The energy was amazing. Seeing people walk up and down Main Street. I've got reports from our neighboring restaurants and hotels, that they haven't seen the business volumes that they've seen since we opened. So we didn't cannibalize it. We did what we thought we would do, which was put more people on Main Street that were looking for hotels, because we can't lodge them all, looking for restaurants because we can't feed them all. So just fine-tuning the entertainment program. We got Share coming at the end of April, already sold out.
That's pretty cool.
And a bunch of other different types of programs. AHL, All-Star Classic, a hockey program, which will bring a whole new group of customers to the downtown. So we continue to sort of tweak the model.
So, all right, I'm curious about this, because you put all of your effort into trying to open up with the perfect programming, the perfect everything, but then stuff is going to surprise you, like, oh, who would have anticipated this, right?
Yeah.
So is there any cool stories about how you learned stuff and then have been able to adapt in these first 6 months that you're open?
Yeah, it's interesting. We've got a Starbucks in our hotel lobby, and back in the West Coast, obviously, in most of the country, Starbucks does extremely well.
Right.
I think in this market, we knew there would be a little bit of the Dunkin' Donut, the D&D, but it's been interesting to understand what the customer wants on sort of what a traditional offering is. So as well as it does, we feel like we've got to think about a Dunkin' Donut type customer in our offerings. Sundays have been incredibly busy. And I think it's a little bit of the tradition in New England, because of how great the sports teams have done. It's a great chance to sort of get out and celebrate. So our sports bar does incredible business on a Sunday, which sort of snuck up on us. But everything else, I think we've gotten pretty close to what we thought. So we've been really pleasantly surprised by the way it's been received by the customer.
That's awesome. So what's next? You only have 250 rooms. I suppose you're going to grow the neighborhood. Other businesses will open, and then you'll probably need to expand at some point.
Yeah, we have conversations all the time with the sort of the business owners across the street.
Right.
Colloquially, we want the other side of Main Street to start getting developed. Some of that's in the works.
Because that's only going to help you. It's going to help them. It kind of plays into that whole, what I would call like the cluster effect, right? The more there is, the more people come, the more there can be.
No question. Especially for a high frequency customer like we have, is we need them to go find experiences outside the resort so that they can continue to use us as their anchor. So we've got a Wahlburgers coming, which is our next out on one of our corner sites, which will help energize Main Street. We're excited about that, and we continue to talk to hotel developers. New restaurants, new hotels are coming. Just a matter of when and who they are. But there's a real energy and optimism about the neighborhood. And you're right. We need some critical mass. We want people to walk down Main Street and not see empty window fronts on the other side.
Right. Yeah. Because one of the things I see is, let's go to the movies, but now let's go do some retail shopping because my kids need new shoes or shirts or whatever it is. Right.
Yep. So we need more retail, more shopping. There's already a great bar scene, some really good restaurants. Just need to fill in. Some of us we're basically bookends. MGM on this end, some great spots on the north end, and we really want to do some infilling in between, so that there's a great walk and experience between them.
So before we wrap up, who in your career has inspired you and made you a better professional?
Wow. I think I can trace it all. This is my third company in the industry, and I've been lucky enough.
You also work with Boyd.
That's right. So I started my career with Las Vegas Sands and some really great people in there, but starting with Sheldon Adelson, who is such a titan in the business, and his imagination. He
almost ran me over with his scooter once. I think it was at the opening of the Palazzo.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those run-ins myself with Mr. Adelson.
But it's great. What's really funny is when you see him on the casino floor, it's kind of like the presidential motorcade,
yes,
with a lot of security guards running with him and hit him on his scooter.
Exactly
it's
right,
awesome.
And they can't keep up with him.
Right.
So just really boundless energy at his age to continue to want to grow, because
I think he's 176 now or something.
I think mid-80s.
Yeah.
Let's give him mid-80s.
I can't believe that he's still at it and trying so hard.
Oh, vibrant, and he was one of the first people in Asia, and just continue to really just the ambition and wanting to grow his business. I think I got a lot of my drive from spending time with him. Then my next stop was Boyd Gaming. Worked on the Echelon project, which was a huge, ambitious project where the Stardust was, and polar opposite. Take a man like Bill.
Worked with Bob Bogner.
I worked with Bob Bogner, who helped design the Borgata. Was a really great mentor for me. But I go all the way up to Bill Boyd, whose name was on the building. Yep. And my first day, he was flipping hamburgers in a flannel shirt for an employee event.
That's so. I remember meeting him at Borgata. That was a total honor.
And he insists on calling him Bill, but you want to call him Mr. Boyd.
Yeah.
And learned a lot about how to really connect with line level staff, because he was a man of the people and always wanted to check in and talk to the staff. And then fast forward now to MGM, and really a lot of great people, but two people, and Jim Murren, our chairman, and Bill Hornbuckle, my predecessor in Springfield. They both had the sort of the courage and the vision to think about what a resort like this could do, and what is otherwise a semi-depressed area. And I think we created a new model for our competitors and for our industry to say, we want to do for your city what MGM did for Springfield, and really and respect the history of it and the architecture and all the great things.
Right, and to just bring it back home, I mean, this is right in the middle of the neighborhood with repurposed elements of buildings put in here, new structures that look very of that industrial era. Nothing giant, nothing gaudy. It all fits in. You almost roll up to this property and going, where is it? Because it's so subtle.
Glenn, we may have done too good a job on that, because you're right. I think people can just really roll past it and not realize there's a brand new, almost $1 billion facility that was built here, and it's a testament to the product. And I'm joking, of course. Over time, anybody who comes in and experiences it, we know we've got as a customer. So some of this is bringing awareness, which we continue to do, and get a little bit over the stigma over Springfield, some of the challenges in the past, which I think we're quickly doing. And it's Springfield's greatest days are ahead of it.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, congratulations on everything. Before we wrap up, it's important that you give yourself and MGM and whatever a good shameless plug.
Absolutely. So proud of what MGM Resorts does. We go into a community and we customize it, whether it's National Harbor in D.C., which is a beautiful monument-style resort, or you come to a city like Springfield and you really learn about all the great things and you celebrate them, and that's what we continue to do. So I couldn't work for a better company, couldn't be prouder, and I think we've created a model that hopefully, and frankly, I hope our competitors replicate it when they go into a jurisdiction and respect the community and their traditions the way we have here.
Yeah, I really love how it's really in the neighborhood, not on the outskirts of town or deep in the woods. It really just feels much more organic and of this place. I'm absolutely loving it. So I want to thank everybody for listening. Mike, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me on your program.
And for all of you guys, if you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, please do that. Text the word hotel to 66866. Easy enough, 66866. And please give us some 5-star reviews on iTunes. That really helps me. And it helps others that are interested in this type of content. So thanks so much for listening, and I'll be back next week. That is, unless I go downstairs in this building and get addicted to one of those awesome flashy gaming machines. See y'all next week.
Thanks so much for listening to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman, online at rouse.media, on Twitter at Traveling Glenn, and on Facebook.com/Glenn.Hausman. We'll catch you next time.